Okay, I decided to approach this video a bit different way. Some people have been asking like how I set up these 775 and 1366 platforms for XOC, like when I try to break the records with some specific CPU. Now here in the CPU socket is a Core 2 Duo E6420. I recently binned quite a few CPUs. I bought like 20 to 30 pieces of this CPU model as an example, along with many other ones. And I found one that is particularly good. 595 MHz FSP on ambient cooling. And with 1.36 volts, I got up to 3.9 in the OS. So the CPU should be able to do like 4 GHz on ambient cooling, which is incredibly good. When I was looking at the data posted by SamOCX Tapaka with his very best CPUs, like along the Conroe family, I didn't see any CPU that was any better than this one. So this CPU should be very, very good. So I want to try it briefly on LN2. I still have a small amount remaining. So it will be the same thing as always, Windows XP for W primes and Server 2003 for 1M, 32M, PyFast, etc. So anyways, here's the Rampage Extreme, the one I bought from Japan. So very basic stuff, similar as my Team Finland Edition. This board, what you can actually note from my other Rampage Extremes is that it still has the stock VRM heatsink on the left side MOSFETs. I have covered the board with Vaseline. That's how I always prepare these boards and video cards as well. I have laid the motherboard on top of a sheet of Armaflex. No heater plate whatsoever. I wouldn't recommend anyone to use a heater plate with the 775 and 1366 platforms. You want some cold to spread on the North Bridge. It does help. If we run a CPU that can go particularly cold, we usually see like negative temperatures on the VRM as well, but it's not really dangerous. I have covered the VRM area with Vaseline as well, same for the North Bridge, and just clean the top side of the MOSFETs that need to be cooled or which have contact with the heatsink assembly, just with CRC electronic cleaner and cotton pad to make sure there's very good contact between the components and the heatsink assembly. And well, I've replaced the thermal paste on the North Bridge, and there should be thermal paste on the North Bridge inductors as well. And not sure if I think I still use the stock thermal pads for the MOSFETs across the board. But anyways, I try to show the back side of the board like briefly, so you can see just a normal backplate, Kimping cooling backplate, the original one with just sheet of Armaflex and some paper towel in between. And I have cut like Armaflex pieces across around the socket just manually. It's not like one whole piece as the 775 socket, or well, the Rampage Extreme socket. It's pretty hard to make one like perfect piece of Armaflex that covers the socket area perfectly, but that's pretty much it. So now from here I will be using the Kimping Cooling F1 Dark as always. So we just want to be sure our IHS is perfectly clean and we apply the thermal paste. I'm actually running low on Kimping Cooling KPX, so for this run I will use the pink thermal paste, so the Cryonaut Extreme. But I don't think it really matters that much. It's pretty much the same thing as KPX. We don't really need the utmost best conductivity with these CPUs, as these CPUs don't even run anywhere near full watt temperatures. Some of these Conroes might hit -150, maybe even 160, but that's pretty much it. So from here we apply the thermal paste. You can see it's the pink thermal paste, Cryonaut Extreme, whatever. So I think some of you might have already tried it. It's pretty expensive. It has got even more expensive during these past few months, I think, or at least it felt like so when I was buying another jar. Sadly, KPX is still not widely available here in Europe, so that's something Kimpin should still improve with his stuff. It's actually pretty hard to apply this from when the camera is in the way. I always like to cover the whole IHS manually like that with a bit of excess remaining so that we can be sure the whole IHS is covered. When I was sometimes looking at very old overclocking videos, some people or some of the guys in the community, they like to just put a tiny amount of thermal paste directly at the center. So I'm pretty sure very often it will not cover the whole IHS, which can be, you can actually lose a bit of thermals due to that. So I like to cover the whole IHS manually like that. Okay, just a few sheets of Scott paper towels, and as we are using the F1 Dark, I like to use another basic layer of Armaflex insulation foam around the CPU to make or try to make an airtight seal. It's not like perfectly cut, but I think it's pretty alright for this task. So overall, when it comes to preparing like components for extreme overclocking, there's a lot of like personal stuff that goes into this whole thing. Like for example, Joe Card, with whom I quite often bench, like in Espoo and in some of the events, he usually like to use like liquid electrical tape, and now as he has been running these components with me, he has started using Vaseline more often. And then we just need to take the container itself. I've already attached the yellow Unity thermocouple probe at the base. So with this container I'm not actually using the Kimping Cooling thermocouple K-type probe. It would be a very good one, but at least the old one, now he has actually changed or upgraded the K-type probes. They are a bit annoying to bend, so that's why I'm actually using a standard one, but you have to bin them. The Unity ones, the yellow ones, which I'm using, they're actually pretty good. I've dipped them in LN2 and they read pretty close to the correct value of LN2 at my altitude. So let's just put the hold down plate like so. And I'm just using the standard KPC mounting gear that comes with the later or latest containers. I go pretty all the way with the thumb nuts to make sure the pot doesn't move, as it usually tends to move a little bit. Now some of you might be asking why I'm using the Rampage Extreme instead of the very good P5E3 Premium. And the reason is that I still haven't double checked the board. I had some issues with it, with the E6300, which I mean, for some reason with that CPU the board suddenly stopped relatively early on. So I need to double check the board with some other CPU, for example this one, or with the E6750. Can I replicate the result I got earlier? Or with this one, let's say if this is a record CPU, can I replicate the result with the P5E3 Premium? But yeah, that will be for some later time. So I just want to play it safe, go with the board I'm most confident with. But anyways, here is the system itself, ready to be run on LN2. So just use whatever method you wish for insulation. I like to go with this one. There's even the PLL modification present on this board. That's only for the 45 nanometer CPUs, some, but it's quite rare. Some 45 nanometer CPUs might like a bit lower voltage than the minimum value present on this board. So the range on this board is from like 1.5 to 2.8 or 3 volts, something like this. Some Wolfdales, although it's quite rare, might like a value of like 1.45, even 1.35. Some boards, like on some gigabyte boards, you can actually go even lower than 1.5 already in the BIOS, so it's not necessary to modify those boards, but the Rampage Extreme you have to. But yeah, so now I will move the system to the bench table and we can start actually running this whole thing on LN2. Okay, so some changes along the way. When I set up the whole thing on the bench table with the Nismo Rampage Extreme, the one I bought from Japan, I noticed I had some very flaky memory. Then I was just testing things around and etc. Other CPU, the Northbridge memory controller isn't behaving correctly. So now when I changed to the Team Finland Rampage Extreme, there was a tiny bit of same as well. For some reason on two of my Rampage Extremes, my first and original one, which I mainly use for CPU and memory binning. And with this one now, I noticed that some of the voltages were very low, like 3.3 volts was at 3.05, 5 volts was at like 4.8, and 12 volts was like 11.7. I've seen it before, but I'm not like fully sure is it correct or is it some software measurement bug. But now when I changed the Seasonic Prime 1300 watt platinum, I noticed from the get-go that the voltages were absolutely correct on the BIOS. The PLL voltage, I'm actually feeding the PLL voltage manually from the Motherboard 3.3. When I tested on the Super Flower first with Team Finland Edition, the PLL voltage was at like 1.56, and when I ran with the Seasonic PSU for the first time, it went up to 1.7. So there's definitely something going on. I need to double check the Japanese Rampage Extreme first with this power supply. Is it the same? If it's still weird, then most likely what's going on is that the Fujitsu cap on the North Bridge is going bad, because I actually measured the resistance of the North Bridge voltage and it has gone down a little bit. It's still in the somewhat like okay zone. The resistance was like 6.3 or 6.4 ohms. If you measure under 6 ohms, then it's likely the Fujitsu is bad, but I'm sure I've measured higher before. It could be one of the reasons why my memory was so flaky on the record run when I ran the E8632M record. So I need to double check or investigate like what's going on. I tested this briefly. It's somewhat okay, but it's a little bit flaky. I don't know what's going on, but I wanna try the E6420 now quickly first, because I'm having I don't have that much time these days, so I wanna just see it. It should be a record capable CPU, so let's see what happens. So I will start in Windows XP and then just Windows Server 2003 for Super Pis and PiFast. So let's get going. I think the temperature range is somewhere between like 100 and 150. So I'll start cooling down. So now I don't have that many like power connectors. I need to run the loud fan over there that cools down the North Bridge and the memory from the motherboard, as well as I don't have XS PSU Molex power connector for the fan. So this is a little bit dodgy way of doing this, but if I find out the power supply is starting to go bad, then I probably need to change it, because I've seen some weird behavior on some other platforms as well. So I need to investigate like what's going on. But power supply issues, when they are not so like clear, they can be a bit hard to investigate. So let's see what happens. But yeah, let's see how this goes. Okay, a bit tricky. I don't know do I have some memory related issues, but now I should be at 620, so close to 5 gigahertz. So this should be rank 1 capable already in W primes. That rank 1 is at 615. Like, I think the result was like 16.8 something. 16.567, sorry. I'm only at minus 100. I don't know, did I face some like temperature issues, like going too cold FSP wise? This isn't big increase from the air level anyways, so I don't know. I don't fully trust that it would be too cold. Yeah, so over a half a second faster already than TAGG. So this is the new rank 1 score in W Prime 32 for the E6420, one of the more rare. And we hang. So yeah, there's definitely something going on, but at least we have the capture card. Okay, there's some improvements. 5120, 645. We are already close to the rank 1 validation. It was made on cascade cooling though. I got 15.5 recently. This might be under 15 seconds already. So 5.2. Mine's 125 at the moment. $15,172. Okay, we hang 128. 14.8. That's like 1.7 seconds faster than previous rank 1 score by TAGG from Austria. Guess I need to start making some other scores. It's already very high. 5.320. 5.320, what the heck? The crazy improvements of the previous rank scores. 14 points. That's 2 seconds faster than the previous. These are probably the biggest gains for the previous rank 1 score. Funny, I had really big issues getting these to post. Okay, and now we hang. So that's the new W Prime 1024 AM top score with the core to Duo E6420 at 5243 megahertz, 471.141. Previous top score by TAGG from Austria, 529.934. So this is like close to 1 minute improvement. I not sure about the efficiency, but I just wanted to do this. I don't want to keep running this like over and over again. This whole experience with this CPU is very buggy. One time it can post and run 665 straight from the BIOS. The next time it doesn't want to post even 620. So it's very buggy. I'm having the same thing what I had with the P5 E3 Premium with the E6300. Yeah, no big improvement from efficiency. So 467.141, so that's like 4 second improvement. I raised the clock speed to 5281. But yeah, I just wanted to test it. So yeah, efficiency wise, no big difference whatsoever. $1764. Okay, those two are the new top scores. So by fast, previous top score by TAGG from Austria at 18.5, spot on. It was 17.64, I think, a better run. And 1M, previous top score is 10.016 seconds. And this is 9.547, so almost half a second improvement in 1M as well. So now the only one remaining is the 32M, as we even got quite free validation. Pretty interesting. Just don't know how high can I actually push for 32M. Maybe 6, maybe I should play it safe, I don't know. Well, that is my only run, but we managed to do a whopping 32-second improvement in SuperPi 32M with the Core 2 Duo E6420. So 9 minutes 15.547, previous top score by TAGG from Austria at 9 minutes 47.8 seconds. There have been only 2 sub 10-minute runs, and with this CPU it's definitely, I'm sure it's possible to go beyond like below 9 minutes, but it starts to get difficult because there's some issue. I don't know what's the stability issue. Is it like it is CPU related? Yes, but there's something going on because I can run W prime higher, even 1024M than 1M and validation. It's extremely weird, as you can imagine. So yeah, hold on. Just want to add this in case some of you are interested. So pretty good. 5.2 gigahertz around. So 650 times 8. And memory at 1950, 67520, 64 command rate 1. With pretty okay sub timings. Rampage Extreme 1301 BIOS. So this is the end pretty much. I'm probably not gonna run anymore. So this will be it. So all of the top scores including validation. So pretty happy, one CPU added to my result library. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, that didn't go as planned, unfortunately. So I had to swap the motherboard to the Team Finland Edition, and even with this one, very flaky behavior. So very often it wouldn't like to post and boot the higher FSP frequencies. So very often I had to work my way up, like post and boot 610 first, then it would usually happily post and boot 640, even 660. Highest I managed to post and boot was 665. I'm sure there's more remaining. This instability towards the end was very, very weird. So I don't know what's going on. Why can I run W prime 1024M higher than 1M, for example? So I really would like to try this with the P5E3 Premium, so we'll see. The weird thing is the power supply problem. I really need to investigate, is the Super Flower Leadex 8-pack 2000 watt unit really faulty, because I was reading weird low values, especially on the 3.3 volts, but even lower values on the 5 volt and 12 volt compared to the Seasonic with this board, and I've seen it on other boards as well, but not all motherboards. Some motherboards it is alright, but some it reads weird low values, like on this one. When I applied some overclock, it would read 3.05 volts on the 3.3, 4.8 on the 5 volt and 11.7 on the 12 volt. And those are already pretty much out of spec according to Johnny Guru. So it's not very, I don't really feel very comfortable about it. It's, yeah, the power supply unit has been used tons for benching purposes as well as daily use, because that's also my daily power supply, to be honest. So the Seasonic unit is very good. It's very reliable. The only thing what I don't like about it is the very picky overcurrent protection limit. So I cannot use only this power supply unit for heavy video card benching, like 2080 Ti, 3090 Ti. It is not enough to run the system plus the graphics card on LN2, whereas the Super Flower unit is enough. So if the unit is faulty, I don't know if I still have warranty remaining, but it's possible I might buy another one because it's very good. I have one EVGA 1600 watt T2, but as far as I know it has been used for mining to some degree, so it is not the utmost reliable unit, but the unit is pretty much Super Flower Leadex 8-pack, Leadex 1600 watt titanium unit, just a rebranded one. So I need to see if I want to start using that one as my main power supply. I have really liked the Seasonic unit, but it can happen that maybe they focused like full on the 12 volt rail and something is overloading the 3.3 volt rail, because all the boards I tried that had those weird low values were the PLL modified boards, because I'm actually feeding the CPU PLL voltage directly from the motherboard's 3.3 volt. So yeah, maybe it doesn't like it, but with the Seasonic unit, the PLL values were spot on, really accurate. But yeah, so I got all of the top scores, 5.3 validation, I think it was spot on, 5300 point something, so like 140 megahertz higher than the previous, top by TAGG from Austria. W Prime 32 was 14.5 seconds, I think, the best run, so 2-second improvement. 1024M was around 1 minute improvement. The first one was 471 seconds and the second one 467 seconds, so around 1 minute improvement over there. 1M around half a second improvement. Pi fast like 0.9, almost 0.9 second improvement. And Super Pi 32M, it was a 32-second improvement, so huge results along the way. Yeah, I'm sure there's more, and it would be awesome to see even higher numbers with the P5E3 Premium, because there's definitely something going on. This wasn't behaving like it should. So at least I got the top scores. This was one of the models I actually picked up manually during my recent trip in Asia in July, in Thailand, and in Hong Kong. I bought a few of these CPUs in Thailand. This record CPU wasn't one of those I bought during my trip. I actually bought another set, like 20 to 30 pieces from Germany, and this one was among those. So huge results. All of the scores are already uploaded on hardwarepod.org when you are watching this video. So definitely go check them out if you are interested in these scores. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Maybe check out my Patreon page as well if you want to support my work. And yeah, thanks for watching some of my legacy overclocking content once again, and I will see you on the next one.